Good afternoon, folks. Sheepdog Smokey here, and this is a second one again. Uh, Isolation seems to have me thinking and rambling a lot. Been reading, as I said in the last video, been watching movies, as I talked about in the last video. And then, I checked my social media. Fortunately, as much as I despise what it does to people, I still have it. I still use it, especially now to communicate with friends and family and others. But I saw a tweet from Chuck Woolery, and he asked, "You're getting a preview of socialism. How do you like it?" I honestly will not be surprised if in another week or two, as I've mentioned before, if you look at Venice, the canals are so clear you can see the fish. If you look at Osaka, Tokyo, if you look at Los Angeles, Salt Lake City, any of the large metropolitan areas, you're going to start seeing the air quality vastly improve, okay? People are not flying for business or pleasure right now, so very little happening in the air. If you look, I saw a video from Corridor Crew the other day where it showed some video of Los Angeles highways. I've been to Los Angeles, and I went 20 some odd years ago. And the highways were bumper to bumper pretty much all day, every day. The meme and the joke of New York and Chicago and LA, nobody needs a car because you can't go anywhere in a car. But no one is now. You still have truckers on the road. You still have the trains running. But with, I would say, 85+% of people driving once, maybe twice a week to the store and back. I left the house today. I needed to run to the grocery store and to a couple of other places on errands that I had been putting off. And I used today as my one non-home cooked meal of the week. I needed fajitas. And still didn't get them, so anyway, picked up some dinner for my folks. So I noticed, parking lots are desolate compared to norms for a Saturday afternoon. Stores are empty. They are basically enforcing, we're going to bring everything out to you, with very few exceptions. Imagine, though, what will happen when some of our more liberal government officials start trying to use this. Before we go further, please remember to subscribe, turn on notifications, so that, like this video off schedule, you'll be notified of all new content and you're part of the giveaway at 500, 1,000, and 1,500 subscribers. But that said, let's go on and move on. Since 2016, 2018, the golden child of the Democrats has been the Green New Deal, environmentalism. Ocasio-Cortez has made it her mission to get the Green New Deal passed. It's not a stretch of any sort to see in a week or two, maybe a month, these people started to say, well, look, you haven't been driving and you're able to get everything you need and you're able to have everything you need and you just stay home and you work from home. And if you can't work, we'll pay you to stay at home. And the environment is doing so much better. And it's driving people insane. Okay, there's only so much Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus or DC Unlimited or HBO or whatever that you can watch alone at home or even just with your family. You need social interaction. Not every business can run remote. Stores like Walmart cannot even survive a prolonged session like this where people come in once a week and they're really just there to buy groceries. Here in Texas, we have H-E-B. They are a grocery store. They do have other things, as most grocery stores do. H-E-B Plus stores carry some clothing, some electronics, some cookware and things like that, but they're still 90% a grocery store. Walmart, on the other hand, is 25% a grocery store, 75% everything else. I don't want to live in a world where I am forced to order my groceries online, pay for them in advance, let someone else pick out everything for me, and then bring it to my car, and then go home and sit alone. One need only look to nursing homes, where when people are elderly and infirmed and unable to, get up and move around the house and even just stay home. They're put in a bed at night, they're put in a wheelchair and wheeled out to watch TV during the day, or, God forbid, in some cases, sit by the nurse's station all day doing absolutely nothing. They don't last long in those facilities because you need mental stimulation more than just television, more than just conversation. You need to be able to get out, get up, and move. Now, yes, in my neighborhood, in my area, people are still getting out and they're going for a jog. And then they go home. They walk their dog and then they go home. Some people still go to work, but not everyone. I'm blessed to have a job where I've not seen any change other than my location. But still, I would much rather be in my office with my coworkers than working remotely. Education is taking a hit as well. You're seeing private schools are struggling more than public schools in many cases, in many areas, because they are now having to completely change everything about how they do this, as opposed to having a school district and a city and a county and a state that can just say, we're all going to move to Google Classroom or Blackboard or whatever. And they're having to change everything. Their students are adjusting about as well as anyone, but still, on this trend of politicians saying, see, you've been at home for 6 weeks and the world is still turning and the air is clearer and the water is better, so now we're just going to do this all the time. And then all of a sudden your students are now, well, these other schools are suffering and they're struggling, so we're just going to put your student in this class with this teacher at this public school, and they'll just be taking all of this online. It won't be long, though, before we hear that to maintain the public health, students will no longer be allowed to go to any school but a public school, so that the nurse can check them every day, and so that they will be able to force just capitulation after capitulation after capitulation. Homeschool will no longer be allowed. It will ultimately lead, in their fevered mind, they want it to lead to total subjugation. It will get to the point, well, the environment is so critical. We need to leave a better world. So if your last name begins with this, you're only allowed to leave your home for no more than 2 hours on this day of the week to get all of your shopping done. And no, we'll bring the doctor to you. And more and more and more. Ultimately, you will be completely controlled 24/7, 365. Now, I don't see this taking place everywhere. There will be parts of the country and parts of the world that will fight this, and they will be isolated. I know I go to these books a lot, but looking at Brave New World, where the vast majority of the planet is ruled under that Huxley society, where no longer are children born, they are engineered in test tubes. And you are engineered into a caste where you will be given a job based on your social or your genetic engineering. And people will travel to societies that are walled off and kept separate from the rest of the world, where they don't do this. They still have children. And they still have religion. They don't have the TV and the movies. They don't have the drugs that you get to take vacations on. They will be mocked. And the world will ultimately crumble to totalitarian regimes. And it's not a world I want to live in or anyone else should want to live in. I make no qualms about the fact that I am a student of history. I have loved studying history most of my life since about 13 on, when I really started to get into studying history more than just, here's American history, here's American history, here's American history. You can only take that class so long before it gets boring. But by the time I got into 7th and 8th grade and on, and we started digging in more and more, and then I could read what I wanted after high school. I could study what I wanted. Got into college studying the parts of history I wanted to study. You need only look at history to see regimes like Persia under Darius and ultimately Xerxes. Look at Pol Pot, Genghis Khan, Stalin, and Lenin after him, Hitler, Maduro, Castro. You look at these just ultimately rigorously controlled societies, and they all fall. And the people suffer even for years after the fall of the totalitarian regime. But the people in power don't care because they still eat lobster and steak and caviar, drink all the liquor they want, have the drugs they want, have the parties, have everything, fly all over the world, and live the high life on the backs of those who actually produce the wealth. And no, I'm not arguing for redistribution of wealth. In no way am I. I would not rob Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates or anyone of 1 cent of their money to make my life better. I want to work to make my life better. I'm doing that now. 8 years ago, I started a new job. I had lost a good job 8 years prior to that, and I had moved home, gone back to school, earned my degree, substitute taught for a couple of years, and then joined the company I'm with now in the IT world. And in that time, I have bought a home, which is what you see, prefabricated building that I am slowly doing the work myself. I still need to do quite a bit in here, as you can see, but I'm going to do it. Make this a home for myself. I am still pursuing additional education, additional classes as I can, because that's what I want to do. And if we don't come through this stronger and go back to the society that we had, the shining city on the hill, as Reagan called us, if we fall to totalitarian control where, well, the environment is key, and this is working, and see, your industry we didn't need your industry. More and more industries will be deemed non-essential. And then more and more will people be told, well, you're an essential worker. You're not allowed to quit. You're not allowed to leave the job and be paid to stay at home. You're essential. You must work. And then they sit and work for the same or less pay than people being basically paid to be stay at home nothing. I don't want to see this. I'm not convinced we will, but it is in the back of my mind as what will happen. Okay? We lived through Ebola. We lived through SARS, MERS, H1N1. None of them led to this. I don't know, and I don't believe the conspiracies that COVID-19 was engineered to attack only certain people, but there are those theories. I posted one with the doctor showing his thoughts, and he sounds very convincing. So, I mean, it is in the back of my mind. I am curious, though, because with the travel bans that have been put in place, with the other things that have been put in place, and with what now doctors are saying should be a 98.5+% survival rate, I'm curious to see how all of this will end. There are the conspiracy theories that this is going to ultimately lead to mass arrests of those who have been using their positions in government and other places. I don't believe the theories. They're interesting to read, but that's all they are to me. Until I see something happen, I'm not going to say it's going to happen. The only thing I believe is going to happen is doctors are going to continue serving their patients. And medical experts are going to continue researching and testing and researching and testing. And they're going to ultimately find a way to beat this and beat it down to the level of influenza or rhinovirus, where you may get COVID. We'll have a COVID season, just like we have a cold and flu season. And there will be a treatment, and you'll be told, okay, you have COVID, here's your medication, stay home for 3 to 5 days, take this, wear a mask, all this other stuff, and you'll recover like you do from the flu. I've only ever really gotten a bad flu when I took a flu shot. I don't know if it's an allergy, I don't know if it was something else in the shot, but I've only ever gotten a bad flu when I took the shot. I get a mild flu about twice a year. I'm down for a day or two, feverish, can't really eat. I lose 5 or 7 pounds in a couple of days, and then I'm over it, and I'm back. I get a bad cold about once a year, and with that, I beat it off in 24 hours, and I'm back. This, ultimately, I see becoming the same thing. Doctors will have, over time, developed treatments. It's not what you see in the liberal media. Embracing unknown medicines is denying science. How else do you think we get approved treatments? You have to test things. They can't just snap their fingers and say, okay, well, here's the approved medicine. They have to test it. I talked about it in a previous video. Doctors are saying that hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine are producing favorable results. And then some moron takes chloroquine phosphate, an aquarium cleaner, and people lose their mind. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm a historian. In time, historians will talk about this era of the world's history. And I hope that it does not end with, and the world fell to tyranny. I know that I won't fall to tyrants. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'll die on my feet before I live on my knees. Give me liberty or give me death. And there are millions who believe the same. And sadly, there are millions who say, okay, fine, you have to die then, and it leads to bloodshed. The media doesn't care about doctors who are saying this isn't political. Let us do the work. The media still tries to twist everything. Politicians still try to twist everything. I don't know. This is a dangerous time. And there are plenty of things you can do to mitigate danger. Wash your hands. This should be something we do all the time, not just during a pandemic. I don't wash my hands 10, 12, 15 times a day. You know, I work in a very public place. I wash my hands every time I go to the restroom. I wash my hands before and after I eat lunch. I use hand sanitizer if I just need to go grab a cup of coffee or something, or in my case, tea. So why won't we do that all the time? You know, we should do it year-round. How many cases of the flu or the cold could be prevented if people washed their hands? Okay, sanitizer is good, but you still need soap and water. And according to many people, it doesn't have to be hot water. Soap and water. I use hot water because I like hot water. I don't like cold water. I drink cold water. But that, if you don't feel good, don't go out. All these things should be common sense, but it's taken an outbreak to bring them back into the public mind and into conversation and into recommendations from people who have been saying it for years, actually being listened to. I want to go back to society and the economy as we knew it before this, where people get up and go to work and go to school and go to movies and go out and have karaoke night, go bowling, you know, go to the park and watch softball games. I don't think we need as much as we have had. I would be perfectly happy to see professional sports pared down quite a bit. We didn't have near as many teams as we do now when I was 5 and 7 years old. We still had football to watch on Sunday and baseball and basketball. We still had the Olympics, but they weren't hyped the way they are now. What would happen if we went back to a society where actors weren't trotted out on every talk show and every stage everywhere to speak as authorities on society? What would happen if athletes were just athletes and we listened to doctors and lawyers and people who actually are experts in their field? You know, social scientists when it comes to politics. It'd be an amazing thing, honestly. It was only 40 short years ago that we had a society close to that. I bet if you ask anyone my parents' age, they'd tell you sports was something you read about in the newspaper. You know, maybe 1 or 2 games a year you watched on television. Now, we're inundated with it. Movies were something you went to on a date, or maybe as a treat. Now, people go 2-3 times a week. Television was not what it is now. Now we have hundreds of channels with useless crap on 90%. Crying out loud, I can remember waking up at 2 in the morning when I would go to sleep to my television to seeing the most amazing pieces of junk being sold. I'm not saying scrap everything we have. I'm saying pare it down. We don't need a television show to follow the spoiled life of celebrities. We don't need a TV show to watch one guy go through months-long process of picking a girl at random from 50 girls. We don't need 24-hour, you need to buy this TV. I don't know, but I've talked long enough. Let me know what you think, but as always, remain civil. We can discuss, we can dissent, we can disagree and argue civilly. We can debate. Or at least we should be able to. As always, please remember to like and share so that we extend the conversation. And so that you're part of the giveaway, remember to subscribe. When we hit 500, 1,000, and 1,500 subscribers, I will be giving away 1, 2, and 3 books, respectively. Until then, you'll want notifications on as well so that videos like this pop up. Please remember, though, stay safe, stay smart, stay healthy, and stay home right now, if at all possible. We will get through this. We've gotten through worse in the past. Until next time, everyone, have a wonderful day.